served. The next issue is, and this makes sense, I think you would all agree, if they have a circuit out here that services 10,000 people or a circuit that services 150, guess what? They're going to put up 10,000 first before the 150. So some of the order of circuits goes in that manner. And I can remember, because I lived in Houston most of my life, and a lot of trees, and we've had without power, as some of you have now in the past, you know, maybe there's a cookout in the cul-de-sac. Maybe the people have refrigeration, got some hot dogs or hamburgers to share with neighbors. And if you have someone who's a senior or really needs to be out of the heat, the cooling centers, and those are up to the local elected officials to establish, but we support and help them. That's their call, but opening up cooling centers, or just taking them to somewhere where it's cool, to the shopping center, to wherever, so they're not in the heat. They don't have to be older to be in that issue. It can be a lot of people. So if we all pull together, we are strong, and Texans always pull together. You know, we don't have any, to my knowledge, any boat rescues from rooftops in this storm. But one of the things that I remember from 2017 and Harvey was it didn't matter who was on the roof. If you were in the boat, you rescued them. And it didn't matter if you were on the roof. You didn't care who came in the boat to get you. So take care of your neighbors, and we're doing all of that we can in the state to assist local authorities. Our number one issue is your life. Every life is important, and we pray for those 3 families who have lost lives so far that we know of today, 2 by downed trees and 1 by drowning under an underpass. With that, we'll open up for questions. Yes, sir.
I first wanted to ask about, when it comes to the power, how maybe the state is stepping in with its resources to help CenterPoint and these other utility companies get on their feet more quickly?
Yeah, so the PUC is in constant communication with the utilities, asking them if they need any assistance. We have staff here at the State Operations Center that's working with our sister agencies to see if they're talking to anyone that needs any assistance. So there's 24/7 access to the state resources if they need anything from us.
Do you have anything to add to that now?
You know, Governor, you issued waivers yesterday for weight and transportation to allow those out-of-state resources to get into Texas earlier. And so everything that they have asked us to do, we have been able to support.
Next question. Oh.
Governor, this, just a few days ago we were celebrating the 4th of July. Are we starting to see the start of earlier hurricane season and potentially not?
Well, it's been predicted. I'm not a meteorologist or weathercaster, but it's been predicted that there will be a lot of storms this year. This is an early storm for us to have, and it's what I call the backdoor storm, and that's why I was very concerned. And Nim and I talked at 4 in the morning. I don't know, it was Tuesday or Wednesday. The time has all come to one day, but these storms that come in the back door over the Yucatan Peninsula, particularly over holiday weekend, we're very concerned that people weren't aware. Not that they weren't paying attention. They were having fun at the beach. They're just out of their normal routine. They weren't looking at the news. They weren't looking at the internet. And it was far off. But this storm, Beryl, has been resilient and relentless. I mean, they left 11 deaths behind them. It's the first Category 5 this early storm that started out. And so our concern early was communicating. We've done a lot of press conferences. I've done interviews with TV stations, whether big market, small market, mid-sized market, to be sure they know what's happening, because we want to get the information out. So I don't know what's ahead, but I know we will always be ready at the state and the local level. We have great partnerships with our county judges and our mayors, and they've done an outstanding job. But right now, the big issue, it's still dangerous. Don't be out on the road at night, really anywhere where there could be power lines down, areas that have already, you think the storm has passed. And then secondly, we're going to have to get through this power situation. And when we get through it, as Thomas said, we will go back and assess how we can do it better. But we are, as I said, an area with a lot of trees and a big storm and 80-mile-an-hour winds and a lot of power lines down, 10 transmission lines. So they're going to have to get out there, assess it, get it back up. And trust me, we're talking to them maybe hourly, okay? Because we know we're hearing from the public, and we need a little bit of patience, and we'll get there. Yes, ma'am.
What is the current death toll?
3, that we know of. 2 by fallen trees, and 1 by a City of Houston employee going to work, sadly, in flooding.
Oh, in the Houston area? Or?
Yes, yeah. The one was in Atascocita, and the one city employee, and I believe that, I don't know, but I believe the other was in Houston, the other fallen tree. I don't know if you know exactly where that, but I had 3 to this.
In the Caribbean,
There were 11 that I know of through Mexico and the Caribbean. You know, obviously I don't have all the statistics from the country, but that was the last report. Yes, ma'am.
With the thousands of folks coming in to help restore
Yes.
power, do you know how many of them were staged and were able to jump in immediately, or was there none of that?
I do not know that answer, if they were staged or ready. I do know that, I can't speak for those companies. I do know that they normally reach out as, you know, and contact companies to be ready. You never know where the storm is going to go. You know, originally it was forecast to mostly go in Mexico and maybe down in Cameron or Hidalgo County, and it kept moving. So I don't know the answer to that, but we'll get the answer to that and we'll know.
Governor,
Do you know?
if I could add, I would say we began at the PUC began to get notifications from companies as early as last week that they were starting to pre-position their internal staff. I don't know about staff, you know, anyone that came in from outside the state, but the staff that were inside the state started getting positioned at the end of last week.
Yeah. And as Nim mentioned, I signed waivers to make this expedite so they could get here quicker. Yes. Let me see if there are any other first-time questions. Yes.
Hello. Hey, have you all reached out to their president yet, or has he reached out to Texas regarding any federal resources?
I've not heard from the president. And FEMA, which is the federal agency, they're back here. They've been here with us from the beginning in preparation. And their part of this will be after the storm. To get FEMA money, it has to be more than $54 million of damage to public buildings and government facilities. You know, private homeowners or businesses, they have their own homeowners insurance or flood insurance. So they have been cooperating. They're here, and they will, you know, right now we're focused on lives and we're focused on getting through the storm. We'll worry about sending them an invoice later. And we expect when we send them an invoice, if it's more than $54 million, to get paid. Yes, sir?
Questions for Chief Ken. You mentioned the high risk, the high danger of carbon monoxide. Could you elaborate and maybe, I know there, you know, just real quick bullet points on how people can keep their homes powered safely tonight, and whether that's carbon monoxide or fire?
Yeah, great question, and thanks for the opportunity to expand on that. One is some people do have small home generators that you buy and hook up to the home. Those run fine. But if you went to Lowe's or Home Depot or Walmart and got a generator and you think you need to pull it into your garage and run it in your garage and then run an extension cord into your refrigerator or your freezer, inside the house, even in the garage, that carbon monoxide can leak through the doors and leak through other areas, and you won't even know unless you have a carbon monoxide detector that carbon monoxide is there. So if you're going to run a generator, it needs to be outdoors, away from the house. Follow the manufacturer's instructions for that. And then also be sure that you don't daisy chain too many cords together, because by daisy chaining them, you create additional heat and cause a fire hazard inside the home.
Any
Any
other?
early estimates on damage?
Well, we're collecting damage estimates right now. Our local partners are doing that, but when the winds are still moving through Texas, it's really hard to say how much damage is out there. So we know that our first responders will get out as soon as it is safe for them, just like the power companies can't get out and get up in those bucket trucks when it's more than 35-mile-an-hour winds. So damage assessments will come after all of the life safety issues are addressed.
Governor, this is your first hurricane as governor, right? As acting governor? Is that correct?
I'm
trying to think.
I've been acting governor many times, and we've had many incidents. This is the first hurricane that I've overseen, but I've always been involved in all the other hurricanes as a senator or a lieutenant governor.
Right, so you've been in those meetings, but not in the same way as now and getting the briefings maybe at 3 and 4 in the morning where you know, the hair on the back of your neck probably stands up. Some of the things that you hear, people are definitely going to die given certain conditions that are being described. Can you talk about the work these folks do in the middle of the night, 3 and 4 in the morning, and the professionalism they bring to it?
Scott, these people that I've met back here, and I've taken time in between our press conferences, our interviews, and our briefings to go around and meet everyone personally, everyone on the day shift, everyone on the night shift, and thank them. These are public servants. Not all of them work for you. Many of them work for TDEM, the Texas Department of Emergency Management, but these others come in from different agencies. And they come in here and they've They are true public servants. I gave them one of my coins today that has the Matthew 2026. It says, "For those who wish to lead, you must first serve." These are great public servants, and we replicate these people, Scott, at the local level as well. They're smaller teams in smaller counties, but like Harris County has a pretty big team. So these are people doing their very best, and we're on the clock 24/7. We've been on the clock 24/7. I've been worried about the storm, and I texted him this, I think, on Wednesday or Thursday. I said, this reminds me of Ike back in '08 that just kind of came along and kept on going and kept on going. And pretty soon we ended up with Bolivar Island being wiped out because the storm was predicted to be here and it changed. So we've been on top of this, and John Honore, our meteorologist, has been great at the state level. So these are great people. My only job as the acting governor is to get the information out. They're the pros. I don't pretend to be a pro and an expert on their issues. They're the experts. Any other last questions? All right. Well, thank you. You have one last one? You've had two. Okay, one last one. Go ahead.
I just want to ask
Okay.
about specifically when we're talking about Central Texas, which seems to have been missed a lot.
Yes.
Is there things Central Texans or agencies can do to help our neighbors, or what should Central Texans keep in mind, even if they've kind of been spared here?
Yeah, so two things. One is the first responders that were ready to go in Central Texas. A lot of them are already moving over into the Houston area and ready to move up into Northeast Texas. So those first responders that were staged are moving. The next thing is for our families here in Central Texas that have the ability to give or to donate, figure out where your donations go and work best. The Red Cross and the Salvation Army are here. They've been working very well with us. We want to support them as well. But there are a lot of church organizations out there that over the next several days will be feeding and serving those out there. So cash is always the right size and the right color. Make sure your donation goes to the right place.
So we'll wrap this up, and over the next 2 days, I'll be going out with NIM to areas in the state that have been hit. So when we can get there safely, and if they have the infrastructure for us to get there, like cell service and basic things. So we will be going to some areas around the state personally to inspect it and see what we can do. But look, we have a great cooperation between the locals. And by the way, every county judge has his cell number, and most of them have my cell number. And every one of the legislators have our cell number. So they don't hesitate to pick up the phone and say, we need this. And that's part of what we do. They call us in with a need, and we respond as quickly as we can. Thank you all very much. God bless Texas. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Do you all expect more briefings?
Don't know. We'll be going around the state and obviously be doing press wherever we are.
Right.
And we'll figure that out. We'll see that.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, everyone.
All right, we're good? Good. So,
Thanks, Donna.
Just texted asking if the Bossier crew can go out, like asking CJ.
Asking what?
Asking CJ if it's safe for the Bossier crew to go out. Oh, he said it's good.
We guess it's Jasmine and somebody else.
Andrew, yeah, Jasmine and Andrew. And then they just pushed that someone was killed in Benton after a tree fell on her house.
See, that overemphasizing your safety. I never would have flown back in even 10 years ago, let alone back when I first started. News director be yelling at you while you're running out the door to get away from it. There's a railroad underpass. The way it sounded like it was on this road. Now we're on West Grand now. So.
So is John Harvey the dealership in Bossier and then the Shreveport one is Yoakum?
Yes.
Okay.